Well, when you watch Oscar Smith on film, they're pretty scary to watch. They've got good players in a lot of positions. They can score quickly. And I think the first thing was when we got in the game and we were able to play with them, that gave me some relief, that they weren't better than us. We were on the same par as them and that we could play in the game. We just need to make more plays than they made. And there was a time where I thought the game was, we were going to be able to pull ahead. And that didn't happen. It was much like last year. I think I used the phrase that I felt like a rope was being pulled through my hand and my hand was burning as it was slipping away from us. That's really the way I started feeling again. I also thought there were some opportunities in the game where Oscar Smith didn't capitalize on a few of our mistakes. If they had, I think it would have been a different game. The last drive offensively for them, there were quite a few penalties there that were pretty hurtful. Put a lot of stress on our defense to stay out there that length of time. We also had quite a few guys play both ways in this game that we don't traditionally do. We prepare them for that as we go through the season, especially in practice with them playing both ways, but we rarely use them until we need to. We always talk about preparing them for that 1 or 2 games in the season where they're going to need to do that, and I'm really proud of that they did that because I know it was tough. And then at the end in overtime, for us to miss an extra point, which is such a rarity for us, and then for our defense, I think, would you say, Brian, you said thanks for having my back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, and what a way to end the football game like last year on our defense, which, we've been on their backs all season, so pretty proud of them.
Coach, were you concerned, going through the playoffs, you didn't have the closest margin, it's like 17 points, I believe, and you got like 42-0 on South Lakes last week, so there wasn't a lot of adversity for your team to go through leading into this game. Was there any concern about that?
Well, we got all our adversity in the mid-season. That was when all our adversity occurred. No, I think that was a sign of how far we had come as a football team, that we were really clicking, and we pride ourselves on getting better as the season goes. We always talk about get to the playoffs where you can do some damage. I like to think of us as crescendoing at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Would you say, on that note, where does this rank with the best this team has played all year?
I didn't think this game was our best, but the saying that they got players too, right? So we'll go and look at film and we'll analyze the situation, but you're playing a darn good football team who's going to cause you to make mistakes, and your errors are going to look a lot worse against a good football team.
Raymond, I know the plays in overtime and them tying it up were going to be the headline plays from this game, but how big was that drive to start the third quarter for you guys? It looked like you got in a rhythm, especially running the football as well as passing.
Yeah, coming out of halftime, we were just trying to get momentum going into finishing off the game. Starting off hot would boost our confidence offensively and defensively. And I think starting off like that gave a lot of confidence to our defense going back out there, and they ended up just having our backs.
Nolan, can you take us through that last play?
And the last play, I was on the right side of the line, and they ran the ball away from me. I just came down the line, and I saw the guys on the inside stuffed it up pretty well and hit them in the backfield before we had a chance to get any momentum. Just wrapped them up as a team effort.
Where are your emotions last year, on that fourth down from the 2-yard line, was it? And then this year, 4th down from the 3. What are your emotions like after a big stop like that?
It's just like nothing else I've ever experienced, And being on the field was definitely different for it to happen, but it's pretty amazing.
Coach, talk about that. You said after you missed that extra point, Coach, putting your defense back out there, knowing that if they score and get the extra point, game's over. Just talk about what was going through your mind after, like you said, a fluke of a missed extra point.
Well, as the game was going on, they got close to blocking a couple of our extra points, and I don't think it was a scheme issue, and it wasn't a handling issue. It's just they're so fast. And, that's tough on a kicker. I mean, that can rattle a guy to have those guys so close to you when you're kicking the ball. But it was much like last year when we scored, we kicked an extra point. Oscar Smith came out and scored. I'm wondering if they're going to go for 2. It's kind of back and forth, and in a high school game, extra points are not givens. And I even said that at one point in the game. I don't think it was before we kicked the extra point, but I was thinking, I said out loud that, the extra points are not a given for either side. And, that proved to be true. They got one blocked, and we missed one.
But just talk about how much you relied on your defense to say, hey, it's on your guys' shoulders. What you want your defense?
Well, that's one of the things that I've been really proud of this team as we've gone along through the season here at the end was I had a lot of faith in them and that they were playing for one another. They were bought in. They were prepared. It was important to them. They cared. All those things that you want out of a football team, I felt we were there. I really felt good about where we were as a football team. Sometimes you go out and you play a game and you got good players and your scheme might be good or whatever, but when you got a group of guys that are doing it for one another, you cannot put a value on that.
Brian, sorry.
He's got a story to tell you.
So
You want to ask about the extra point?
well, I want to ask about the extra point, but just your impact on this game. This team has used you as a weapon through the season, not only for field goals, but just to win field position battles, give the offense a short field. What impact do you think you had in terms of just positioning this team? And then can you tell me about the extra point?
Well, my impact on positioning the team, I pride myself in being able to flip the field, and I know that the coverage team's got to get down there and get a stop. So if I do what I can do to help, I know that the defense and the coverage team will get down there. And I think that plays a decent enough role. And then the extra point, it was kind of planned to give the defense more momentum. Besides that, should have been made, obviously, and I guess, I can call it a fluke, but defense had my back, and we're very blessed to have that be the case.
That's not the story I heard. Tell me, I want to hear the real story.
Well, I was back in my stance, and I wasn't necessarily ready for the ball to be snapped. I was still looking up, and then I heard set, kind of looked down. I was like, oh, the ball's in front of me. I mean, it's an extra point. It should never be missed, no matter what the circumstance is, but I think that's a funny plot twist.
I didn't get a good, did it push right? I mean, what was
Yeah, it went just outside the right goal post.
Okay.
One of our coaches every game tracks field position, and every game that we win, we were winning field position by as much as 30 yards on average, and that's due to great defense and great special teams, and Brian's leg's a big part of that.
Ramon, your touchdown drives were, I think, like 70, 66, 71 yards. I mean, you guys have been a big play team through the playoffs. What was it that allowed you to be so methodical?
First of all, what allowed us to do that was Coach Simmons, Coach Shields, all the offensive coaches having trust in us to run the plays that we did. Then it took execution all the way down the field. It's not just easy to drive down 70 or 60 or 80 yards. You need the offensive line to block. You need somebody. If one person messes up, it could mess up the whole play. And everybody just executed to the best of their ability, and that helped us get down the field.
Was there one aspect of your game coming from the midseason, so you can say specifically after the broad run game? There's like one aspect. Cause, you really became. Your completions went up about 15%. Sean became like a home run hitter. We had about 17, 18 touchdowns this year. Just like all of a sudden, this guy's like the deepest threat. He may end up over 1,000 yards. But was there something that just changed in your game at the midpoint that just made things a little easier throughout the rest of this run?
Let's see if his answer is the same as mine.
Okay.
First, it was just Coach Simmons once again trusting us to throw the football, letting us have that ability to, for me to change plays, for me to give people routes, and for him opening up the playbook for us. That really helped us. We realized the talent and the potential we had, I think, and we used it to our advantage against team secondaries and their defense, and just came in a big role.
That's the same as
What's your answer?
Yeah, it was pretty close. It's just a trust and a maturity needed to occur in Ramon's decision-making, you know, got to the point where we were more comfortable giving him more options, having more say on the field, making decisions instead of us calling a play that, you know, that he had to run. We gave him a play that maybe had a couple options to it to put the defense in a bind, and he was able to do that. And then he's got guys standing around him who can make plays and in space, and that's what he did. So I'm very proud of him for the growth he's made through this year.
You're able to run the ball a lot better tonight than maybe in the past few weeks. What did that do for you?
Got to be able to run the football. And I've been saying for weeks we've been trying to manufacture that in a lot of different ways, and whether it's Ramon running the ball or some big guys, Nolan running the ball, Cirillo, Chung. You know, Chung was running the ball better today. So, I mean, you look at our rushing yards for us to win a state championship, it's pretty impressive that we've been able to do what we've been able to do with the struggles we've had running the ball.
Nola, it seemed like you got a lot more involved offensively today. There were a couple of catches in the flat that you turned upfield. There was a touchdown catch. I mean, what was working for you on offense?
We just realized that, you know, not a lot of teams pay attention to the fullback, people coming out of the backfield like that, and flats, you know, so we took advantage of it. And, yeah, catching passes from the tight end position, you know, it's practice it during the week, just like we drew it up.
Who uses a fullback? I mean, I got a lot of games on Ashley Smith. They don't play anybody with a fullback. So, I mean, it's gotten to the point where for us, because we use a tight end and sometimes two tight ends and a fullback, it's to our advantage because most teams don't see that.
What did you guys, Ramon and Sean in particular, what did you guys see different on film? You played them last year, but they had 26, 27 interceptions on their defense. Did you notice anything on film or even during this game that you guys could take advantage of, even though they were better defensively this year?
Yeah, so last year I think we had a weapon with Tyler, and that's what they were really focused on. And this year, I guess they didn't think we had that good of a passing game. So, you know, we just took advantage of it. Sean and Ivory, they just make me look really good. They go out and make plays every time I flick the ball out there to them, and yeah, they get it done.
Yeah, I think this year they're playing a lot more man coverage on us. A lot of 7 routes were open, corner routes were open, but weren't really connecting on those. But we still found a way to persevere through it and make the passing game harder for us.
Sean, how even do these teams feel when you go 2 years in a row, triple overtime, double overtime? I mean, it just seems like a boxing match every time you play.
It really does. I was saying on the sideline, why can't we ever have a regular game where someone wins the first time instead of going into overtime? But, I mean, also, when it's a state championship game, overtime is also a pretty fun thing to be around, especially if you're on the winning side of it.
Well, can you describe the bench when, you know, what's your vantage point in that last play?
It was crazy. Everyone was linking arms, and everyone was just on edge. And when they made a tackle and we saw they didn't get it, it was just words can't describe. It's just an amazing feeling we all had. And we were really crazy after that. It's awesome.
Guys, good? Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Congratulations.